Scott, do you have anything that burning questions you want to ask them about their time at Nebraska?
As a young buck, I'm not even 30 yet. I turned 30 this July. And the culture at which I've witnessed college football be is just as it's gone on, it's just become more and more. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's soft. It's becoming more and more soft and becoming more and more, dare I say, politically correct. There's tons of things that are being implemented in the current day and age of football where, I mean, you can see the direction the NFL is going with implementing all these rules where basically tackling is illegal. Try if there's young audience, which I've got to say, I grew up watching VHS after VHS of, 94, 95, 97, tons of stuff like that. So I'm a little bit starstruck here. But when it comes to talking to a generation like myself, the millennials, or even Gen Z, or if we've got any, 12-year-old Gen Alphas in here watching, what is one thing that you can look back at your time at Nebraska and go, not only would that not fly today, it might even make people like lose their cool. Is there something you guys would be willing to admit here on live television in front of 150 people? What would be something that you guys did that would just make my soft generation just blow up?
Well, we were, one of the things I think with us and what Coach Osborne and Coach McBride were such geniuses of doing was, we held each other more accountable than the coaches held us accountable. And what we wanted to do and how we wanted to perform wasn't just for ourselves, but it was for the guy next to us. And we hung out together. We played together. We all went with classes together, and so we had they did a great job of recruiting and unifying that squad and creating a family atmosphere that I don't see a whole lot of anymore. And the last thing that I ever wanted to do was do something, was make a mistake and let my team down. And so that in that mindset of always, you're always working towards something bigger than yourself was what propelled us, I think, for myself.
I feel like there were definitely, I mean, you knew who the starters were, but the starters were working harder than anybody else and really not trying to draw attention to themselves in any other way than just by going out and performing on the field. And I think that people celebrating themselves more than the team, which I feel is more common these days, that wouldn't have worked out at all for anybody. When somebody made a play out there, it wasn't one guy making a play. It was 11 guys on the field contributing to the play. And that's how we played, and that's how we celebrated after the play too. It wasn't, once again, some guy out there, it's like, yeah, that's me, that's all me. That would have gotten handled real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we celebrated together.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was gonna say, we celebrated together, and I remember, Grant, you probably remember this too. Coach Osborne, this just went through me when he said it. But he said, whether you make a touchdown, you make a sack, you make a great play, get up and act like you meant to do it, and get back to the huddle and go to work again. And that was our mentality: is just work at it, and just keep going.
Well, we've got a question that just came in from George Allers on YouTube. It's kind of part and parcel with what we're talking about right now, but what are your guys' thoughts on NIL/endorsements and the me first mindset of athletes now over the first team first mindset you guys had?
Well,
loaded
Grant, question.
Yeah, I think guys should get paid. Now, should they get paid 6 figures, 7 figures? No. I think there's probably a much better way to do it. Unfortunately, I think you've opened Pandora's box now, and it's going to be hard to reel all that back in, although I bet they'll try at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, I do sympathize with the student athlete. I remember, luckily, Jared and I had a friend that had a pizza restaurant downtown, and that's what we ate all summer long was pizza, because we didn't have
Two nickels. Yeah.
we had 2 nickels to rub together. So there is a need for it, but at the same time, I don't know how they didn't see this coming by just all right, let's go and just open the floodgates. And I don't know how they'll reel it back in, but there's got to be a way to make it more feasible. And because it is, I don't know, it's professional football now, and it's just not the same.
I feel like it's even different than pro football in regards to, when you're on a pro football team, whether it's yourself or who around you has a 2, 3, 4-year contract, who you're going to be around for the next few years. These kids are flip-flopping every year, going to different teams. And that I can't even imagine, Grant, I think back about, when we played, and that, if this stuff flew then, besides the fact that, making the money would have been great, but, that would have, but that's kind of besides the point. The whole, entering the portal and, you get your feelings hurt, so you bug out and go to another team. The struggle that we went through is what made us so great together.
Yeah, I have a bigger problem with the portal than I do the NIL money.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next, because Go Big Redcast, 4 of our favorite guys on the planet, those guys have been so helpful for us as we've gotten our podcast going. So they've asked, how would you guys navigate things like the transfer portal and NIL if it was available to you in the 90s? I know it's a weird question, hard one to answer, but it's interesting to hear your thoughts.
I wouldn't have entered the portal. I guess it's really easy for me to sit here and say that, but I feel to my core, I would not have entered the portal, because I would have chosen that school because I loved who I was playing with. And that's not going to change whether I'm getting I feel like I'm getting a raw deal from a coach, or there's a guy that's a All-American in front of me and I'm not going to see the field a lot. Like I said, I went there to be with my boys. It wasn't about what can this school do for me. It's like, what can I go there and do with a bunch of guys that I really enjoy playing football with? So the portal wouldn't have been a topic of conversation. Plus, my dad would have snatched my head off my shoulders if I'd have said, it's hard here to go somewhere else. Like, that wouldn't have gone over very well in my house.
Yeah.
The NIL, I'm sure I would have loved the paycheck. Like I said, it got old every day. But I don't know. Like, if you give me $1 million back in college, am I really that motivated to show up to workouts for every day? Because I was still trying to earn that paycheck. I was still I was working for something at that point. If I got 7 figures in the bank account, it's really easy to miss workouts.
Well, and if you look at, Grant and myself, in our careers, we had that opportunity. I had that opportunity as a junior when I hit All-American, and they said, you should, I had guys calling all the time, you should enter the draft as a junior. The next year, when I was a senior, Grant had that same opportunity. He could have gone and been a first-round draft pick, that year. So we had those opportunities to kind of bail or to go and do what was good for us. Like, and from like Grant was just saying, we never batted an eye. We never even thought about it, because, I was going, what the school gave me and put into me, I wouldn't leave the school behind. I wouldn't leave my players and my coaches and everybody behind like that. And Grant was the same situation.
You saying that really reminds me of what we've seen with the current team, and this, especially since Coach Rule was hired, hardly anybody's left. Portal's open.
Right.
NIL deals are out there left and right for guys, and hardly anybody has walked out the door.